Only once, and she's a friend of mine. Take it easy, take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Lighten up while you still can. Don't even try to understand. Just find a place and make your stand. Take it.
Alright, hi there. Today, for Algebra 1, I'm going to be doing a review for Test 2. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is this problem. What is the percentage change if the original amount is $8.75 and the new amount is $8? So there's a formula you guys should have on your formula sheets. And it's like this, where the original amount is in the bottom. And in the top is original amount minus new amount. And that'll give you the decimal. And then you have to take that and multiply by 100 to go to the percent. So that's what we're going to do here. So the two amounts are $8.75 and $8. So it's key to get the original amount correct. The $8.75 is the original amount, so that goes in the bottom. And then I got $8.75 minus 8. And then I'm going to punch that into my calculator and figure out what that is. So that's 0.75 divided by 8.75. And that equals 0.086. All right, and then I'm going to multiply that times 100, or move the decimal point 2 to the right, whichever you prefer. And either way, you get an 8.6%. Okay, and that's the answer. All right, that's how you do that. If you didn't already, put that formula here on the formula sheet. Okay, in the back of your formula sheet. Next one. What is 35% of 80? So there was another formula. It's is over of equals P over 100, P for percent. So in this case, I've got the of is the 80. The 35% is the P. And they're asking what is, so I'm missing the is. So this is what I get. And then you can cross multiply and solve. Okay, when I multiply 100 times x, I get 100x. And when you multiply 35 times 80, you get 2,800. And then last but not least, divide by the 100. And x equals 28. And that's the answer. Okay. This one, we got some solving equations in this chapter too. So this one, for example, we've got to remember that this is really the same as saying x divided by 7 equals 3. And the opposite of dividing by 7 is multiplying by 7. And when I multiply those together, those cancel, and I get 21. And you can go plug it back in and see, does 21 divided by 7 equal 3? Yeah, it does. So you're good. Next one. This is a hard one. And it's hard, especially because it's got that subtraction sign right there in the middle makes this extra tricky. What I like to do with these, I like to turn them into plus negatives. Subtraction and a plus negative are the same thing. And if I do that, then I don't make easy mistakes with this problem. The easy mistake would be to multiply the first one, negative 2x, but miss the fact that that's actually minus 4 after that, because negative 2 times 2x. The common mistake is students multiply the x by negative 2, and then the last 2 by positive 2. So anyway, if I do that, now I'm going to do distributive property on the rest of the other parentheses as well. 5 times x plus 1 is 5x plus 5, okay? And now here. Now I can start combining like terms, all right? If they're on the same side of the equal sign, just add them together. I got a 5x and I got a negative 2x. If I add those together, I get 3x. And now I can combine my 5 and the minus 4 is plus 1. And this is getting much easier now. All right, bring your x's to one side. I'm going to subtract x. You could also subtract 3x if you wanted. Those cancel. 3x minus 1x is 2x plus 1. And next, I'm going to subtract the 1. And I got 2x equals 0. Running out of space, so I got 2x equals 0. So last but not least, you divide by 2, and you get x equals 0. And that's the answer. Okay? Don't write there's no solution, because there is one, and it's 0. All right, this one, they want you to solve for y. That means they're going to get y alone. First thing I want to do is move that 2x to the other side of the equal sign. Right now I'm adding 2x, so the opposite of adding 2x is subtracting 2x. And I get 4y equals 18 minus 2x. Don't combine 18 and 2x and get 16x or something. Just leave it like that. 18 minus 2x is 18 minus 2x. All right, next, get the y alone. There is implied multiplication between the 4 and the y. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. Okay. Now, y, oops, so these cancel. 18 divided by 4 is 18 over 4. 2 divided by 4 is 2 over 4. And now I'm going to reduce my fractions. I can both divide all of these by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2/4, both divisible by 2 is 1/2. So that's the best answer there. Okay. If you wanted to give me 4.5 and 0.5 for 9/2 and 1/2, you could. That's also fine. You can write that, or y equals 4.5 minus 0.5x. That's correct also. Okay. If you like decimals, that's fine. All right, next one. An office building is 200 feet high. How high is that in meters? All right, so I got 200 feet. So I'm going to multiply by a ratio, right? And, I got feet. They gave me a conversion, which is good. Meters and feet. So I want the feet to cancel out, and I'd like to end up in meters. So since this is actually in the top of a fraction, you could always put it over 1. I want the feet in the bottom of this fraction and the meters in the top. And if I do it that way, then those cancel, and I'll be left in meters. So they told me 1 meter is 3.28 feet. Okay, and then I'm going to take my handy dandy calculator and go 200 divided by 1 times 1, and then divide by 3.28. All right, divide by 3.28 equals 60.98. And that would be in meters, m for meters, okay? That's your answer. This one, I'm going to cross, multiply, and solve. Now the thing you have to remember is anything that's got addition or subtraction in it, you got to put parentheses around it, okay? And then cross multiply. 5 times 2x minus 1. Multiply the other way, 4 times 4x. So that's 16x. This one I'm going to do distributive property, 5 times 2x, 5 times 1. 10x minus 5. Okay, next I'm going to bring my x's to one side. I'm going to subtract 10x. Those cancel. 6x minus 10x is 6x. And last but not least, I ran out of space. Negative 5 equals 6x. So I'm going to divide by 6. Negative 5 divided by 6 is negative 5 over 6. Just leave your answer like that. I mean, if you want to go punch that in your calculator and come up with a decimal, you can. 5 divided by 6 is 0.83333 repeating. I would just leave it like a fraction though. All right. Next one. What is the total cost of a bill at a restaurant if the bill is $85 and the tip is 15%? So I know not everybody goes out to restaurants as much as adults, but the tip is something you pay on top of the bill. All right. So if the bill is $85 and I want 15%, I want that to be in decimal. Okay, which means that's 0.15. You can take that decimal point and move it 2 to the right. Okay, it's here now, and if I move it 2 to the right, it lands there, which gives me 0.15, or divide by 100. to get 0.15. Either way, I got the $85, and I'm going to multiply it by that decimal 0.15, okay? And when I do that, I'll find out how much that tip is, okay? So $85 times 0.15 is 12.75. So that's how much the tip is. Now, you got to be careful and make sure you're answering the question that they asked and not the question you want to answer. Because they said, what's the total cost of the bill? Which means it cost me $85 for the dinner, or it cost you $85. And then it also cost $12.75 for the tip, which means you're going to add those two together and get your answer of $97.75. Okay, and that is the total cost of the bill. So if you go out to a restaurant, make sure you bring some extra money for tip. All right, next. You deposit $25,000 in a bank account that earns 3% interest annually. And how much interest you earn in 2 years. So there's this formula you should have on the back of your formula sheet. Interest, rate is R, T is time, and P is principal. So I need the rate has to be in decimal, which means I'm going to move that decimal point just like we did in the last one, 2 to the left, okay? And then fill in any zeros that I got, which gives me 0.03 is the rate, and that's important. The rest of this is pretty easy. The principal is the $25,000. That's the amount of money that you started with. And the time is 2 years. So I'm going to plug all these in to my formula. P is 25,000. R is 0.03. And the time is 2. And I'm going to multiply all that stuff together in my calculator. Times 0.03 times 2. And I get $1,500 in interest. And that would be the answer, okay? A couple more quick solving equation problems. So this one, I want to bring my x's to one side. I'm going to try to keep them positive, so I think I'll add 2x rather than subtract 3x. Those cancel. I get 25, 3x plus 2x is 5x minus 10. Next, I want to get the 5x alone, so I'm going to add 10 to both sides. When I do that, I get 5x equals 35. Last but not least, I'll divide by 5. And I get x equals 7. Okay? And you could always go plug that in and check and see if it works or not. We got 2 more here. This one, distributive property, 3x minus 6 equals 3x plus 6. Bring my x's to one side, I get 3x. Ooh, those canceled. Those canceled. Ooh, I got negative 6 equals 6. So this is one of those where it's one of two answers. It's either no solution or infinitely many solutions. If you get two things that equal each other, it's infinitely many solutions. This one, 6 doesn't equal negative 6, so there's no solution is the answer, okay? Last one, another distributive property. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 4 is 12 equals 27. I add 12 to both sides. I get 3x equals 39. Last but not least, divide by 3. And x equals 13, and that's the answer. And you could go check it by plugging it back in. I'm not going to, just in the interest of time. All right, that's all I got for today, I think. Make sure. Yeah, that's it. And I'm going to close it out with a little bit more music. Good luck on your test.
Standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. It's a